In the last episode of the Valencia career mode, we signed a pair of free agents, David Silva's regen and Sead Kolasinac, as well as Marc Roca. It was the first time we've been involved in European competitions for this save, but we saw an early exit in the Europa League, finishing last in our group. Hey, what's going on everyone? Flick here. Welcome back to another episode of our FIFA 21 Valencia career mode. This is episode number 6 where we'll be completing season 3 of the save. After our lackluster start to the season where we performed below expectations, both in La Liga and the Europa League, there's a lot of question marks moving forward in this save. You can see on the left hand side of our team, we've got two 90+ rated players in Gaia and Guedes. And in the last episode, I did mention that there's a good possibility that Guedes would be leaving the club. I've kind of changed my mind since then because thinking about it, other teams in La Liga are going to keep improving their team. And if we want to make any progress in this career mode, we probably need to retain some of our best players. That doesn't mean Guedes will be part of this team forever, but I think if we want to turn this third season around, he'll be staying in the squad, so I will not be transfer listing him. But on the opposite wing, we have sort of a different situation. We've been giving Musa a whole lot of play time, putting a lot of trust in him, and unfortunately he just hasn't grown too much in his rating, so I think it's time for him to go out on loan. Hopefully we can get a nice loan boost and he can become part of the first team in the near future. I'm going to be doing the same thing with David Silva's regen. He's only gone up by a few in his rating, so Pajuelo will also be going out on loan. I appreciate the patience with how often these episodes are going live. You can't tell already, I'm getting situated in a new setup that takes a little bit of getting used to, but we should be back on track now and having these episodes out on a more regular basis, along with some other content here on the channel. I've been live streaming pretty much daily here on YouTube, and I am in the works of starting some other series outside of just this Valencia save, maybe some one-off videos and just overall career mode content. Anyways, if you are enjoying this Valencia save, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new around here, because that's the best way to stay up to date when these episodes go live. What better way to turn around the fortunes of the club than to inject some cash into the team? Over the course of 3 seasons, we've managed to accumulate 290 million in our transfer budget. We're going to look to spend some of those funds in this January transfer window as we look to bring back a former Valencia player. Rodrigo left for Leeds last summer, IRL, and although we're a couple seasons into the save, he's actually gone up +1 in his rating, so it's nice to see he hasn't declined yet. And I kind of see him as the temporary option for us on the wing while Musa is out on loan. Earlier on in his career, Rodrigo featured more as a right winger than as a striker, but he's versatile enough that we could definitely play him at both positions. And I also felt like this was fairly realistic considering that Leeds are struggling in the Premier League. Maybe the influx of cash will help them spark a couple of transfers and allow them to do what they need to do to survive the drop from the Premier League. But as far as the contract goes, Rodrigo agreed to a sporadic squad role on a 2-year deal, also taking a pay cut from about like 125 grand over to 74 grand now at Valencia. His release clause is also set at 53.5 million, so I don't see any clubs coming in for him as an offer unless he goes and scores a load of goals in La Liga. But as mentioned earlier, we're going to be using the right wing development plan on him. No change to his rating or anything along that sort, but maybe later down the line we can adjust some of these development plans so that he doesn't decline so much in his stats. So with that signing made, I figured we would hop into some gameplay here. Usually I do post-comp for this sort of stuff, but I thought I'd do live because depending on our performance in the Copa de España, we might need to make more transfers. Maybe we stick with this current starting 11. Villarreal have sort of been a rival for us in this career mode. They have, of course, taken some of our former players like Pareo, who is still featuring at the right center mid position. And honestly, Copa de España is probably our best bet of qualifying for Europa League next season. So this is a competition that I rate very highly. We do manage to get off to a pretty good start. It's Rodrigo right away making an impact on the team, using that Berba spin to cut inside and a fake shot to get it on his preferred left foot. An equal save to it from Rulli, but it didn't take long for Villarreal to open up the scoring. It was a nice pass to find their player, and now we had our work cut out for us. We need to push on and try to shape up defensively. I saw in the last episode that there were a few comments saying that while Kolasinac was a good and original free agent transfer, maybe he doesn't have the quality that we're looking for at Valencia, and I agree with that to an extent. I think clearly in this match he had his fair share of mistakes, so maybe defenders are something we're going to look to sign as we move on to the later stages of this January transfer window. And with us down 3-0 with 23 minutes left to play, I knew we wouldn't be advancing in the Copa de España. I don't know what it is about this competition that makes us play so poorly. We've been knocked out in the first or second round pretty much every season. Maybe by the end of this save we can win this elusive competition. But yeah, I'm pretty set on making some transfers in the defensive department. We can't be leaking 4 goals in any match, let alone in an important one like this. We do manage to pull one back there from Rojas, so at least we know we can rely on 1 goal scorer. But I don't know what it is about these title updates that has switched up how the computer's playing. A super acrobatic assist here that nearly leads to a goal. It sums up the match and how we played pretty well, as Unai Emery and his squad will be going on to the later stages of the competition. The fact that we were leaking so many goals, coupled with the transfers Real Madrid were making in La Liga this season, bringing in Calvert-Lewin for 118.6 million, along with another Premier League transfer in Mason Mount, meant that we will look to replicate a transfer Valencia had made in the most recent transfer window, signing Ferro from Benfica. He's moved to Brighton in this save, and we're also going to look to sign him on a permanent basis instead of a loan deal. Doesn't exactly fit the build of a defender that I had anticipated, but I think him, along with Alvarez, who's a bit quicker, might work out as a partnership and might even reach the same levels that Gabriel Paulista had for us earlier in this save. This transfer was significantly more expensive at 47.5 million, but we've got the funds to work with, so why not use them? Agreeing to an important squad role on a 4-year deal. Wages set to 36 grand a week and a release clause at 83.7 million. But with all the transfers into the club, it's time to send a couple of players out on loan. We're specifically going to highlight 2 youth academy promotions. Tavares is the highest value youth academy player that I found in this save, and probably the highest value one I found in FIFA 21 so far. He's going out on loan to Guimarães. And Evan Bird is someone that we've talked about in previous episodes. Eventually he'll look to become a striker, but for now he'll be going on loan to Inter Miami. There were a number of other loan deals that we agreed to, of course the 2 ones that we talked about earlier with Musa and Jaime Pajuelo, but a couple of our younger high potential players will be going on loan now because I don't see them featuring in many minutes for us this season. I want to shout out everyone that left comments in the last episode about new countries that we can scout out, along with our original scouting network in Spain for 6 months, looking for any type of player. We'll be heading to Uruguay, who we don't actually have a player of that nationality in the squad anymore since Maxi Gomez left. So we'll be looking for a physically strong player there. And our final network will be in Croatia for 6 months, looking for an attacker. Croatia and La Liga have a pretty rich history. Players like Luka Modric and Kovacic coming from this country. I think the future of this Valencia team is looking much brighter now that we've made a couple of transfers in positions that we needed to improve. You can see Kolasinac has moved to the bench, so he'll be more of a rotational and utility player where needed. Rodrigo at the right wing position. And we will be turning our attention to La Liga now that we are out of the Copa de España. Fortunately, we've got some new opponents to feature in today's episode, purely based off of the promotions from the Segunda Division. But we've got a lot of work to do if we want to qualify for European competitions again at the end of the season. We'll see if any of our new transfers can make the difference as we look to forget our performance in the Copa de España and turn our attention back to La Liga. Well, Ferro and Rodrigo are included in my team plans, and this is the first time we're matching against Real Zaragoza, a side that has fought their way back to the top division of Spain, but realistically, this should be an easy opportunity for us to pick up 3 points. But judging by the start of this match, we might have a different result in store as Zaragoza open up the scoring 15 minutes into this one. I was hoping that the signing of a new defender would help alleviate some of our defensive struggles and maybe we can hang on to a clean sheet. Luckily, Rojas does link up well with Acosta, and some good 1-2 play will lead to the equalizer. A pretty swift response as Rojas continues to lead by example and lift up the players around him. We're still in the first half as Ferro will make an appearance in these highlights, winning a header, and now it's Rakic making a run inside the box. He scored a couple of episodes ago and he's going to score again here. At this stage of the career mode, we've more or less determined Rakic's fate as our starting center defensive midfielder, but that won't stop him from popping up from time to time and netting a couple of goals. Rojas breaks away from the Zaragoza defenders in the 54th minute, but the post will deny him as we try to build upon our lead. Now it's Guedes cutting inside on his preferred right foot. Another good save from the Zaragoza goalkeeper. And in the final minutes of this match, again, it's Acosta. He provided the first assist and he's going to get another one here. The volleyed effort from Rojas will finally give us that crucial 2-goal lead. And in my opinion, this is one of our better worked goals. We're mixing up the style of play here and there to provide some more variety in the gameplay. It's pretty late in this match as Zaragoza get one more highlight in the 88th minute. A well-timed run will lead to them getting inside the box and a bit of a scramble here as we do finally manage to get that effort cleared, and we will start off the episode with 3 points in the league. It's nice to see that we could turn around our performance from the Copa de España as we push on. A relatively unknown side to us in this save, Girona are an experienced team with some veteran players in their starting 11. Stuani, a big part of their attack, is retiring at the end of the season, so you know he'll want to play a part in this match. You may have noticed that we are trying out some new tactics in this one. Geddes at striker didn't exactly fare well for us because he gets injured 5 minutes in. Luckily, that's not a huge injury. He'll be back in a couple of days, but for this match, we'll need to bring on Rodrigo, who can very well play striker. Of course, that is what he was known for at Valencia. So it's nice to see him make an appearance. But it is Girona in the 18th minute sending in a cross, and somehow the attacker gets on the end of it. Jaume forced to make a save on his near post. This is the sort of buildup we were waiting for. Rodrigo leading the charge. Rojas spotting him out again in the middle. A heavy touch will set him up with the lotus space, and a finesse shot into the bottom left-hand corner will give us the advantage in this one. Of course, it was only a matter of time before Rodrigo started scoring goals again for us at Valencia. And despite him getting older in this save, I think he still got it in him. There's still a lot of time in this match though, roughly 55 minutes, and it's going to be a poor mistake by Guillamon. He's forced a couple of penalty kicks in the past, and I feel like this is just some inexperience coming into play. Still a defender that has a lot of potential, but whether we decide to rely on him in the future, I think is yet to be seen, because we cannot afford these sort of mistakes. As it is Stuani to step up, he's going to slot it off to his right, and that'll make things level. In close matches like this, we need to make the most of our chances. Gaia proving to be an attacking-minded fullback, winning us back possession, setting up Rodrigo, and this is a poor miss from Lee. He's been a question mark for a lot of this save. Never really fit in at the striker position. We moved him back to a center attacking mid, and I don't know if he's going to be in the long-term plans for this Valencia crew mode. Maybe you guys can leave your thoughts in the comments section, but still some time left as Rodrigo. Again, this press is working out for us. We win back possession. Good save from the keeper. Unfortunately, we can't follow that up with a goal. It's going to be one final opportunity in the 79th minute. Vallejo with an effort. Rojas getting in the way, nearly ended up getting the rebound, but unfortunately it's just a draw in this one. I would have liked to win, but Girona truly battled for this draw. We know Sociedad quite well. We even have David Silva's regen out on loan to them. He didn't feature in their starting lineup, but the reason I wanted to showcase this match is because if we take a look at the league table, you can see Sociedad in 6th, we're in 7th. There's a pretty big gap between us, but obviously a win would do wonders as we try to push on for Europa League. There is still the possibility that we'd qualify for Europa League if we finish 7th. We would need Atletico Madrid to finish top 6 and win the Copa de España. But because there's still some uncertainty about who will win the final, top 6 will be our aim for now. Despite experimenting with some new tactics in the last match and trying out some new players at striker, we turn back to our reliable striker in Rojas. He nearly gets set through here, called back for offside though, as it will be a chance for Sociedad. Ben Yedder from outside the box. Jaume with a good save to keep this match level. Sociedad have been busy with their transfers. I mean, signing the likes of Ben Yedder and Dele Alli is pretty impressive, and it's no wonder that they've been qualifying for Europe the last few years. But we'll look to turn things around after a good save from the back. It's Rodrigo to set up a chance, dribbling to the byline, and finally it's Lee to get on the goal sheet. He's been inconsistent with those volleys, but this time he tucked it away perfectly to the bottom corner, and it goes to show that these double tap passes, where you just loft them up in the air a little bit, tend to work out a little bit better and lock on right to the player. Really not a whole lot of highlights in this one. We're all the way at the end of the match, and we need to hold off for another few minutes if we want to see the result there. Marc Roca just kicking that ball out of play, and we will secure the 3 points against Sociedad. That's huge for us as we try to turn this season around, qualify for Europa League, and with just a few matches left to go, we'll try to keep out this sort of momentum. It's Sevilla next. I believe we played them all the way back in the first episode of this series, and this team is completely different to last time. Still a quality side, and one that is fighting for European qualification. There's actually been a lot of changes in the top 6. Sociedad have moved up to 4th. You can see Sevilla and Bilbao both on 55 points, so a win would close the gap down to 4. The rivalry between Sevilla and Valencia has grown in recent years, with both clubs becoming more successful, so I knew this was going to be an interesting fixture to say the least. Sevilla do open up the scoring just 5 minutes in. Kwame, their striker, netting the first goal, and just 10 minutes later it's going to be a cross sent in by Ronnie Lopez, and it's already a brace for the Sevilla man. Obviously not how I wanted to start this match, but still a lot of time to turn things around, as it is Geddes down the left wing, This near post shot has worked out before. Unfortunately, it did not this time around, as a nice save by the Sevilla goalkeeper on his near post. But whatever tactics we were using before, I decided to just throw those out completely and just play ultra aggressive. We might concede some goals, but hopefully we can score some along the way. This was an incredible effort from Rodrigo. First off, to keep this in play, and second off, to tuck this just under the outstretched arm of the goalkeeper. A good look at it here from the instant replay that had just margins to spare. Already 3 goals in this first half, but we'll try to keep pushing on and score some more as they decide to give Roca the nod at left center mid. He's going to set up Rojas with the equalizer, but toward the later stages of this third season, I was starting Roca more, in fact, over Lee, because of his inconsistency. Both players have a good amount of potential, so I don't think we can go wrong with either option, but whoever is going to be in better form is probably the one that will see the majority of starts, as it's a 3rd goal for Sevilla, 5 goals scored in just the first half alone. But with how we were playing up to this point, I was confident that we could turn this result around in the second half. This is exactly what I mean. Only 5 minutes into the second half, Rodrigo with a load of space down the right wing. He spots out Rojas in the middle, sets him up perfectly, and that will be yet another equalizer. We'll see who ends up scoring the 4th goal or whether things are going to slow down with just 30 minutes left to go. Rojas to Soler. He has been another inconsistent player in regards to his finishing. He was super strong in that department early on in this career mode. I don't know what's changed, but fortunately we do have Rodrigo. Don't know how this effort found the back of the net, even on his weak foot, but hey, we'll take that. And for the first time in this match, we were leading. Now we just need to hang on and see out these 3 points. It's a long sequence of build-up play. Off of this Sevilla throw-in, we are going to get players forward, and Guedes, still with a good amount of stamina left, is going to use some of that pace. We've got to remember, he is a player in the 90s for his rating, so truly one of the world's best players, and he sets up Rojas with an assist here to give us our 5th goal. Definitely the most goals that we scored in a match this season, and may even hold a record for the most goals scored in this career mode so far. A heroic turnaround to our 3rd season has put ourselves in a promising position. You recall earlier on in the episode that we were aiming for top 6, and that is something that we can still achieve. There's a lot of different scenarios as we take a look at the league table. If we were to pick up at least 1 point, we would need to rely on either a Sevilla loss or an Athletic Bilbao loss. Because we've got the advantage in terms of goal differential, that should be no problem, but I think the best thing we could do is pick up a win and just see what happens. Depending on this result and how our 3rd season ends, I think a lot of different scenarios could happen in this career mode moving forward. Whether some original players will stay at the club or if we look to sign some new talents, we'll have to see. But for now, our focus is on Osasuna as our captain Gaia leads us out onto the pitch. This might even be the last time we see the partnership of Guedes and Rojas up top. But it's nice to see that Roca is getting involved. Even though he is listed as a CDM, I still think he can be a box-to-box option for us in the midfield. It was a good save by the Osasuna goalkeeper to deny that effort. And on the other side of things, it's Pedro Nuno who gets fouled inside the box. I thought this was a clean tackle in all honesty, but we certainly had some penalty kick calls that shouldn't have been penalty kicks work out in our favor. So at the end of the day, things balance out, and it is going to be the Osasuna player to step up and take this one. Jaume hasn't saved a whole lot of penalty kicks up to this point, despite making some heroic saves in this career mode. He gets in the right direction, but it is Pedro Nuno who gives Osasuna the 1-0 advantage. We're just minutes before the halftime break. It's Rojas and Soler with some good passes. We're fortunate to hang on to possession, and Rojas, through on goal, is going to fire this to the far post to find the equalizer. He even had a passing option, but I think more times than not, I've just tried to be more route run with our tactics and try to get more shots on target in general. It's Joelinton who finds the advantage for Osasuna after the halftime break. A low-driven shot seems to be something the computer is using more of. In my opinion, some micro updates have been happening in title updates, so it's nice to see some variety in the shot selection. Over the course of this match, we were getting some live updates about the scores across La Liga. I wasn't sure what the result was going to be for the likes of Bilbao and Sevilla, so I still wanted to get the second goal for us so we can at least secure 1 point and then just rely on a loss from the other teams that are top 5. That's a situation where I think a penalty kick call should have worked out in our favor against Guedes, but we're still pushing on, trying to find that equalizer. Again, it's Lee going with the far post effort, just narrowly wide. With everything that's worked out against us with the missed penalty kick call and the missed effort from Lee, I thought things weren't just going to work out, but we go very simple here with Guedes, a finesse shot to the far post, This may be the final goal he scores at Valencia. Still haven't decided what the future is going to look like for him. On one hand, I think it would be good to retain some of our top players so that we can compete with the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico Madrid. On the other hand, it's a bit unrealistic for 90+ rated players not even being involved in European competitions. Of course, I'll be looking over the feedback in the comments section about what you guys want to see for the future of this crew mode. But for now, let's get into our end of season update and see if we'll be in the Europa League next season. There's something special with how simulations have gone in this save. Last year saw a really close race for the 5th, 6th, and 7th place spots. That was the same situation this year with us finishing 7th. Fortunately though, Atletico Madrid did us a solid and won the Copa de España final 4-3 on penalties over Deportivo Alaves. That means the Europa League spot that would have originally gone to the Copa de España winner will go to us in 7th place because Atletico Madrid qualified for Champions League courtesy of a 3rd place finish in the league. But turning our attention to the bottom half of the table, it's Girona, Cadiz, and Zaragoza that look to be relegated. Celta Vigo making the return to La Liga, good to see that, as well as Almeria. Las Palmas, Tenerife, Huesca, and Mallorca will be battling it out in the playoff system to see who the 3rd and final team to gain promotion is. Rojas continues as the top scorer for the club, netting 21 goals from 44 matches. Lee in 2nd with 9 goals from 38, and Guedes also with 9 goals from 42 matches. This is the first time though that Rojas led in assists with 12 assists from 44 matches. Soleil, a solid performance from him, 11 assists from 43, and another appearance from Lee with 6 assists from 38. I don't think growth could have gone any better. Evan Bird going up +8 from a 61 to a 69 rating. Jesse De Boer going from a 62 to a 70. And maybe most importantly, Musa has seen a huge improvement, +7 in his rating from a 72 to a 79. Recapping some of the top stats in La Liga, Hazard led the way for scores. We do have just the one appearance here with Rojas in 5th place, 19 goals from 37 matches. And surprisingly, Rojas was the only player to get double digits in assists in La Liga, 12 assists from 37. Another solid outing from Jaume as he had the 3rd most clean sheets in the league. Spain continues its dominance in Champions League as Real Madrid won the Champions League title 2-1 over Lazio. Another 2-1 result in the Europa League as Everton won that final over Hoffenheim. A few promising prospects in our youth academy. The one with highest potential is probably this left back from Italy. Marino, a 16-year-old with a 65 overall. Probably going to look to send him out on loan next season, and maybe he can find his way into the squad if Gaia ever departs or retires. But I specifically wanted to highlight a couple of the players that went out on loan this season, starting with our homegrown talent, Carrillo. He only went up +3. To be honest, he's performed under expectations, but I'm not giving up on him yet. He's still just 19 years old. Gonzalez, on the other hand, is a youth academy promotion, and he's been going up a few every season, now up to a 76 overall. Maybe it's time for him to start appearing as a substitute in the later stages of this career mode as we push on to season 4. Just talked about Musa, but I think he might need a little bit longer out on loan because Rodrigo is still such a high rating. I'm not too keen on rushing things with Musa. If the loan system's working, then we may as well keep trying that out. Finally, we have Pajuelo, who's gone up +4. Not a bad outing for half a season at Sociedad. We will of course cover all of the stats for our players. I think in general, just one player went down in his rating. I mean, looking at all the players we've got out on loan, it's no wonder. This is a young Valencia team, and one that I keep on saying has a lot of potential to the future. This 3rd season might not have gone as expected, but I'm expecting big things out of season 4 as we are back in Europa League, and I'm looking to win that competition after an abysmal display getting knocked out of the group stage this season. Board objectives are also something I need to start paying more attention to because our manager rating is so low. I just feel like we've had some tough objectives the last few seasons. This youth development one is pretty difficult to fulfill unless you're going the youth academy route for your career modes. Brand exposure, we didn't advance in the cup, but we did manage to sign at least one Spanish player. Financially, we finished just short of the 300 million mark the board was expecting of us, and then domestic and continental success, of course, that did not go as planned. I'm expecting similar board objectives for season 4 of the save. I want to give thanks to channel members for helping support the channel. If you are interested in learning more about that, you can either click the join button right below this video or click the applicable link in the description. You get access to emotes that you can use both in the comment section of these videos and chat for live streams. But we've got some big decisions to make for season 4 of the save. As always, I'll be looking over the comments to see which players you want to see kept here at Valencia, which ones should go. But if you have enjoyed today's episode of the Valencia Career Mode, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. But until next time, this has been Flick. I'll be talking to you all again soon.